I stayed overnight in the office and realized someone else never leaves. What began as nothing more than an unplanned workbench turned into the night I stopped assuming empty buildings were actually empty. My name's Clara Min, 31, junior architect at a firm obsessed with deadlines and branding itself as 24-hour creative energy. Usually that just meant late-night emails, but last winter it became literal. We'd been behind schedule on a city hall renovation project, and my boss decided we'd finalize drawings over the weekend. Everyone else promised to log in remotely. I volunteered to stay on site. The logic was simple. Printouts, coffee machine, no commute. Besides, I'd always liked the office after hours, the echo in the open-plan space, the skyline through 8th floor glass, the illusion that I was productive instead of lonely. The building itself was old, but renovated in the 2000s, an ex-warehouse turned creative hive. Our suite stretched along the top floor, with glass meeting rooms at one end and storage and server rooms at the other. Only one elevator still worked after midnight. The front desk went dark at 10. At 9 p.m., I was alone, humming over blueprints. The city outside glittered. The office lights auto-dimmed to eco mode, ceiling panels humming faintly. When the copier finally jammed, I swore, kicked it lightly, and heard a soft answering noise, like laughter. It came from the far corridor, near the server room. Not loud, not mocking, just the unmistakable sound of someone exhaling amusement. "Hello?" I called, voice ridiculous in the open silence. Nothing. Probably my own echo, I thought. I went back to work, earbuds in, until 11:30. That's when I noticed a glow from the reflection in the window. Light from the corridor, even though I'd switched everything off earlier. Assuming security had arrived for rounds, I grabbed my ID. The hallway beyond the cubicles looked exactly as it did by day, minus people, plus one computer monitor flickering in the far corner. At first glance, it was an old workstation tucked under storage. Then I saw the chair rocking gently, as if someone had just stood up. I froze. Security? I tried again. Silence, then a faint key clack, typing, from the workstation. Approaching felt like walking into cold air. The screen glowed with an open email draft. To all staff. Stop asking who she is. Below that, the cursor blinked. I backed away, pulse hammering. The maintenance lights overhead flicked off one by one into darkness, like a sensor registering absence I couldn't prove. My brain scrambled for rationales. Scheduled cleaning bot? Automatic system test. When I reached the corridor junction, the office printer started again on its own, spitting page after page. I forced myself to look. The printer tray was empty. The pages lay on the floor, each printed with the same floor plan of our office, each page marked with a red X on different desks. I didn't want to know whose. The elevator chimed once. I held my breath. The sound came from the opposite end of the floor, even though the lifts were shut down at midnight. That's when I saw her, through the glass conference room wall. A woman sitting at the table, head bent, long hair hiding her face. She wore our firm's old uniform, the black suit phased out years before I joined. Thought my eyes were playing tricks. Blinked, she was gone. The conference room chair, however, still rocked, back and forth, slow as a pendulum. I bolted to my desk, grabbed my coat and laptop. As I turned toward the emergency stairs, I caught the faint scent of burnt paper. At the printer, the last sheet slid out blank, except for one sentence typed near the top. Strong. You're not supposed to stay. Down 8 flights of stairs later, gasping, I reached the lobby. The security guard, a new guy, looked up, startled. "You finished late?" He checked his roster. Didn't realize anyone else was still upstairs. Nobody is, I said automatically, then paused. Has anyone from our floor logged out? He frowned. Just one name signed in earlier. Marianne Cho. Left at 7. Marianne Cho. The commemorative plaque in our kitchen said she died in 2014, the year the company relocated here. Killed in an elevator collapse during renovations. I didn't sleep that night, and I never worked late alone again. But curiosity's a stubborn thing. 2 weeks later, when I couldn't shake the image of that email draft addressed to all staff, I looked through the shared drive. Tucked deep in archived folders was a locked account labeled M. Cho. Inside, dozens of saved drafts all containing the same subject line. Unsent. Stop asking who she is. That discovery should have been enough. It wasn't, because the following Friday, at exactly 11:30 p.m., the office lights on the security camera upstairs flickered on, motion sensor triggered. And when the guard zoomed in, the camera showed my cubicle chair, slowly rocking back and forth, even though I wasn't there. That's where the next part of this story begins. I didn't want there to be a next part. After that night, I started leaving the office right at 6, no matter who rolled their eyes. I told myself, overwork causes stress. Stress causes hallucinations. Simple. But unease had terrible timing. It waited until everyone laughed again, and then whispered, "Remember?" 2 weeks later, a late afternoon thunderstorm stranded half the city. Trains stopped. Buses overflowed, and one by one, my coworkers gave up and pulled out sleeping bags from the emergency kit the firm kept after an earthquake drill. Somewhere between pity and bravado, I heard my own voice say, "Fine, I'll stay too." At midnight, rain whispering against the glass. The office no longer felt scary, just oddly serene. We ordered pizzas, watched lightning streak over the skyline, and told ghost stories to pass time. Around 2, the storm eased. The others dozed off in clusters of blankets. I stayed awake, sketching on my tablet, music low. Then I noticed the reflection again, the faint bluish glow in the far corridor by the storage rooms. No one else was moving. The computers near me were asleep. I stood up, heart thudding, telling myself it was just an exit light catching the rain. Yet, when I looked directly down the hall, the glow blinked off, then on again, rhythmic as typing. I walked toward it. Every few steps, the sensors clicked, lighting one white panel after another ahead of me. Darkness snapping closed behind. The air changed, colder, filled with that burnt paper smell I hadn't imagined after all. Halfway down, I heard keyboard taps. Not fast, deliberate, rhythmic, pause, tap. The light came from a workstation wedged between storage crates. An old model monitor, the same one I'd seen weeks before, flickered with a terminal window. Lines of text crawled across like someone coding in real time. Initialize user Mako. Restore access. She hasn't left either. I whispered, "Who's using this?" expecting silence, but a woman's voice answered from behind me. Tired, almost polite. "Still awake, Clara?" I turned. She stood between 2 filing cabinets, hair long and dark, wearing that same outdated suit. Up close she looked ordinary, almost solid, but her eyes reflected the fluorescent light, like glass marbles. "I didn't mean to scare you before," she said. "You'd been working too late." My mouth felt dry. "You're keeping the projects on schedule," she interrupted gently. "People forget about the west elevator. They built over where it fell." Her voice wavered, like hearing 2 recordings layered out of sync. I didn't realize my hand had drifted toward my phone until she smiled faintly. "It won't take pictures. Not down here." I bolted. Coherent thought vanished. I sprinted back to the main area shouting for anyone. Martin, Jenna, the interns. But every sleeping bag was empty. Only half-eaten pizza and the dim hum of power. Rain hammered the windows again. Louder than before, though the forecast had said clear skies. The digital clock above reception blinked 11:30 p.m., then glitched backward to 11:29. The lights went out. A second later, they returned, and the room was full again. People sprawled asleep exactly where they'd been, breathing softly, oblivious. Outside, rain was gone, streets dry. When I shook Martin awake, babbling that someone else was here, he squinted at the time. "It's nearly 4. You okay?" The clock read 3:57 a.m. My tablet logs later confirmed 3 empty hours. No drawings saved. No power fluctuations recorded. That Monday, I told Ethan, our manager, that we needed serious electrical maintenance and maybe an exorcism. He smiled tiredly. "Every major project burns someone out, Clara. Take a few personal days." I almost did, until curiosity or stupidity overruled. I rewatched the security feeds from that night. Between 11:30 and 3:30, the screen blanked out to static, but one frame stayed, the storage corridor faintly lit. And over my empty desk, a shape of someone sitting upright, typing beneath the watchful date stamp, MCHO login active. That's when I realized Never Leaves wasn't a metaphor. They'd simply absorbed her into the rotation of work, like overtime that forgot to clock out. Since then, the firm's after-hours reports keep marking unexplained activity in the server room. Last Friday, my boss sent a memo thanking Marianne Cho for file recovery on a corrupted drive. A system glitch, he assumed. But I saw the restored file before IT deleted it. Just one sentence typed over and over. "I'm still finishing the plans. Don't turn off the lights." And I think she means it literally. Because when our office lights flicker now, monitors across the floor glow back to life exactly at 11:30. And somewhere behind the glass, a woman in an old black suit keeps typing, ensuring none of us ever stop working. I started keeping track of the flickers. Every night they came, they followed the same rhythm. 11:30 p.m. on the dot. 20 seconds of darkness. The whine of computers booting, even on weekends. Even after IT said they'd cut power to the North Corridor entirely. When the city announced a rolling blackout schedule, Ethan asked me to stay late once more to back up essential files. I said no. He smiled vaguely, like someone hearing a ringtone only he could recognize. "It'll just be you and the server running, Clara. Don't worry. Marianne always keeps the place stable." I thought he was joking until I saw his eyes. Tired, reasonable, clouded by the same half-dream look I used to have. That night I came back anyway, not as an employee, but as a witness. If she wanted light, I was bringing a flashlight, a solar lantern, and a borrowed handheld recorder. Inside, emergency lights painted everything amber. The power cut had killed the usual hum, leaving thick silence. I passed each cubicle, whispering names of coworkers under my breath, like checking attendance. Nothing answered, except the soft tick of the wall clock sliding toward its cursed minute. 11:29. 11:30. Every monitor flared on. Dozens of drafts opened across them, the same phrase repeating. "We can't stop until the plan's complete." My recorder hissed. A woman's voice whispered through the static. "You wanted proof." The LED on my lantern flickered first, then died completely. I swept my phone torch across the corridor and saw her. Marianne, halfway between reflection and form. Her outline shimmered with the faint metallic sheen of screen light, as if she were being projected. Her eyes were not cruel, just terribly tired. "You took my project," she said quietly. "No one even remembers your project," I managed. "Then finish it." She turned toward the server room door. The handle clicked once, and every screen across the floor displayed a set of architectural drawings, blueprints for a building no one had commissioned. The lines shifted like veins beneath glass, expanding, folding deeper into impossible angles. Ceiling lights buzzed overhead, brightening until the glare burned white. I slammed the circuit breaker off. Darkness swallowed the room, the air chilled. When I looked back at the monitors, the images were gone. Only my reflection remained, faint and quivering. For a breath, I thought I was alone again, but the reflection didn't move when I did. I left everything, laptop, ID, even the copy of the project folder, and bolted through the stairwell. By the time I hit the street, the building behind me was still glowing on the 8th floor, a grid of windows pulsing like monitors. The next morning, news said a transformer had exploded in that part of town. Our office will be closed for renovations. No one mentioned ghosts. I went back once, weeks later, during packing day. The firm relocated downtown, newer, brighter, more glass. Ethan didn't look at me when he handed over my transfer papers. "The system archives were corrupted," he murmured. "Everything before 2014 is gone. Pity." That night, curiosity ruined peace again. I confirmed the rumor. From the street, if you look up at the old building, one window still hums with blue light at 11:30 p.m. Sharp. Always the same one, our conference room. I still work 9 to 5 now, no overtime. But sometimes, when the monitors in our new office enter sleep mode, a single ghostly window pops open across everyone's screens for a split second, bright with unfinished blueprints. Then it closes itself, leaving the cursor blinking in the empty draft line. Still finishing the plans. Whatever she was, whatever she built, the work hasn't ended. And if the light ever stops blinking, I think that will mean it's finally done.